Hello, humans of YouTube. My name is Jeff Cottrill. I am a fiction writer and performance poet based in Toronto, Canada. And this is my second novel. This is Performance Reviews, my second novel, coming soon from Alien Buddha Press. It's going to be available online on November 12th, 2025, which is next week as I'm taping this. Performance Reviews is a darkly comic satire about workplace toxicity. It's about a company called Appleton and Associates, which designs educational books, and it's a very toxic, micromanaging workplace. So I'm going to read from chapter 4, and I guess I need to contextualize that a little bit for you. So Appleton and Associates has taken on a new client from Texas called Earnscliffe Education Group. It's a very big client from Texas. And so the workload really skyrockets to ludicrous levels. The main characters are Kurt, Phil, and Jean, who are the proofreaders. They are the quality assurance department. Phil is the manager. And Kurt is particularly appointment because his dream is to be a theater critic. So he wants to get a full-time theater critic job and get out of Appleton as soon as he can. So he's still doing reviews on the side, even though he's been told not to do that. So, yeah, I'll give you that context from now, and if anything else comes up, I will let you know. So this is from Chapter 4. Less than 3 weeks later, Earnscliffe Education Group launches its invasion. Not that Appleton and Associates is unprepared. Doug has long warned everybody individually in the week of meetings at the beginning of the month. Doug is the president, by the way, and the owner. And the team has received many group emails since, reminding all employees to brace themselves and ready their minds and bodies for what's coming, while reinforcing what's going to be expected of them in the coming months. Still, after weeks of ample downtime for the QA department, the sudden barrage of pages to proof is like the London Blitz after 20 years of peace. The Earnscliffe invasion strikes on a Monday, with a new line of high school American history textbooks ready for the company to tackle, but Phil and his team of proofreaders get a short grace period. They have to wait until some of the designers have finished their first draft sketches, and most of them take all day to do so. So it's more free web surfing and Tetris games and social media scrolling for a while. But by the end of Monday, the Quality Assurance Department gets its first look at Earnscliffe's American history oeuvre. Tuesday morning arrives, and with it comes a pile of pages, as big as any that the department sees at the usual peak times. Plenty to keep the trio busy. But as busy as they are, they still make time to chatter, even if the chatter is mostly about the new work. "Holy crap!" mumbles Phil at one point, with a small laugh as he stares down at the page he's working on. "What?" asks Kurt. Phil laughs again. "Man," he says, "I knew American textbooks were messed up sometimes, but this is nuts. I've never seen such blatant whitewashing." "Like what?" asks Jean. "Listen to this stuff," says Phil. "From a chapter about the period after the Civil War. The practice of lynching African Americans was somewhat common in the 1880s in the southern states, but declined significantly after that period." What a lie! I'm no history expert, and even I know that's a lie. Lynching went on a hell of a lot longer than that, before and after the 1880s, and not just in the South. Kurt laughs too, with a little discomfort. "They make it sound like a trend," he says. "Just a brief little moment of insanity, and then all the whites came to their senses." "I'm working on a page about the Alamo," says Jean. "It says, 'The Battle of the Alamo is one of the proudest moments in U.S. history. Today, millions of Americans still celebrate the moment when a brave, heroic group of underdog soldiers stood up to tyrannous Mexican invaders as they tried to win Texan independence.' That's what it says." "Sounds like they're leaving out a big chunk of the story," says Phil. "They sure are," says Jean, sipping from her current bottle of Coke Zero. "Like the part about how they were trying to protect slavery?" Phil shakes his head. "Well, we shouldn't be too shocked. Earnscliffe is in Texas." Kurt chuckles again and returns to his work. He realizes he might be missing a whole lot of free comedy. To him, his proofreading job has always been a mechanical, impersonal task, and he has paid little attention to the content of the text. If work is going to get as busy as they say it is, maybe this is the spoonful of sugar to get him through. But Kurt's eyes are starting to glaze over from the busy morning, and he needs a short break. He puts down his pen, picks up his Appleton and Associates coffee mug, and strolls to the lunchroom to get a hot chocolate from the machine there. At a round table near the far window sits a small group of finance employees taking a longer coffee break. They are engrossed in conversation, or rather one of them is. Maëlle, the head of the finance department, is on her feet and appears to be monopolizing the chat as usual. She is a squat, overweight, 50-something woman with short red hair, thick glasses, and a loud, grating voice. She carries on ranting about some rude service rep she dealt with at a department store the other day, her Quebecois accent sometimes bordering on incomprehensible when she speaks quickly. Kurt tunes her out as he fills his mug. He thinks about the premiere he's going to tonight, a revival of Peter Schaffer's Amadeus by the Soulpepper Company. He's seen the play staged live only once before, years ago, and he has always preferred the original stage script to the Milos Forman movie, which he deems way too long and marred by Tom Hulce's and Elizabeth Barrage's amateurish performances, though he loves F. Murray Abraham's interpretation of Salieri. As he pours a bit of milk into the hot chocolate and then stirs it, he has a craving to listen again to that YouTube recording of a 1981 Broadway performance with Ian McKellen and Peter Firth. Maybe he can listen to it on his phone tonight at some point before the What the hell's the matter with you? Kurt looks up. Maëlle is looking straight at him with a bitter, accusing face, as if Kurt has just threatened to stab her firstborn child. He asks. Are you a baby? She shrieks at him. Not that I recall. A brief pause as her face crinkles with even more rage. The others at the table pretend not to pay attention, although a couple of them appear to be stifling giggles. Then Maëlle marches up to the sink beside Kurt, picks up the used spoon in the sink, and waves it aggressively in his face. Then why don't you clean your dishes? She bellows at him. Are you a baby? Are you not knowing how to wash a dish? She whips the spoon back into the sink, where its impact makes a clanging noise that seems to echo around the room. I guess I forgot. Sorry. We are not your caregivers, my friend. We are not your babysitters. I know. Sorry. Maëlle frowns and glares at him for another moment. Then she shakes her head and returns to the group, muttering, Animaux. Je travaille avec des animaux, to herself. Later that afternoon, everybody in the company receives a mass email from Doug. Dear team, it has come to my attention that some employees are still leaving their dirty dishes in the sink after consuming their lunches or preparing their coffee. This is unacceptable behavior and needs to stop. Appleton & Associates must present itself at all times as a clean, sanitary, and professional work environment, and we do not employ our own dishwashers to clean up after our workers' inconsiderate messes. Please, when you use Appleton dishes, please be sure to wash and dry them thoroughly and put them away in their proper spots, the same as you would do for yourselves at home. This is really not a lot to ask. If it is too much trouble for you to wash your dishes, then I would ask you to please bring your own dishes from home, or else refrain from using the Appleton lunchroom at all. Thank you. Wow, Phil says aloud after reading the email. Then he reads it over again. Wow, he repeats, adding, The hell's up Doug's craw today, man? I've never heard him use that kind of tone in a company-wide email before, especially over something so dumb. Jean just shrugs. Kurt blushes and pretends to focus on work. A few minutes later, they hear Hannah's voice say, Was it you? Phil looks up from his work at her smug grin. Huh? Der Fuhrer's little speech about dirty dishes. She taps on Phil's cubicle wall. It's because some doofus left a plate in the sink and Maëlle went psycho on his ass. So was it you? Of course not. I rarely go to the lunchroom. I eat in the cafe on the second floor. Hannah snorts a laugh, then looks over at Jean. Was it you? Not me, says Jean. How about you? She asks Kurt. Nope, Kurt says, without looking up from the page he's working on. Hannah's mouth broadens into a sadistic smile. Oh my God, she says. It was you, wasn't it, Kurt? Come on. He doesn't answer. Don't bullshit me. It was you. Look at your face. Just admit it. Leave him alone, says Phil. Nobody cares who did it. Hannah laughs. She leans over towards Kurt's cubicle and wags her finger at him. Zut alors! Washez-vous les dishes, monsieur? Oh la la! She scolds in a high-pitched French-accented whine. We're kind of busy here, Hannah, says Phil. Fetchez la vache, cleaning la frigo, drinking la piscine. She laughs again and returns to her cubicle to do whatever it is she does. After a pause, Kurt snorts. I think I've figured out, he says to Phil and Jean, why she never got anywhere as a stand-up. Jean chuckles. Phil smiles in sympathy, then turns right back to his work. So that was from Chapter 4 of Performance Reviews. Again, available online on November 12th. And if you're in Toronto, we're having a launch party at Foy House on November 30th with Heather Babcock as a guest performer and other Sean Peaver, Neil Traynor, Heather Wood, Timothy Carter as guest performers. Look that up online. Foy House, November 30th. All right, Performance Reviews. I hope you enjoyed that. Have a good day.